Hello, Lifehacks Lab crew. Picture this. Over 40% of American kids, nearly 30 million, are battling chronic health conditions right now. Obesity, diabetes, anxiety, and even cancer rates are soaring. Why? A bombshell report just dropped from the president's Make Our Children Healthy Again commission, and it's pointing fingers at four massive, hidden forces in our everyday lives. Stick with me because, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's making our kids sick and how we can fight back with simple, powerful hacks. Let's dive in. First, let's face a hard truth. Despite spending more on healthcare than any other nation, American kids are the sickest generation in history. The MAHA report released in 2025 under executive order, over 1 in 5 kids over age 6 are obese, a 270% jump since the 1970s. Type 2 diabetes in kids? Up over 600% in projections by 2060 if we don't act. And mental health? Teenage depression has doubled in a decade. The MAHA report paints a pretty sobering picture. It states that American children are in an unprecedented health crisis. Over 40% of children in the U.S., that's about 73 million kids, have at least one chronic health condition like asthma, obesity, or behavioral disorders. And it's not just about long-term health, it's affecting national readiness. The report highlights that over 75% of American youth, aged 17 to 24, are ineligible for military service, primarily due to issues like obesity and mental health challenges. The report rolls out some startling statistics across various conditions. Childhood obesity: more than 1 in 5 kids over 6 are obese. That's more than double the obesity rate of our G7 peer countries on average. Diabetes: it's not just an adult problem anymore. Cases are rising in youth, and over 1 in 4 teens now have prediabetes. Neurodevelopmental disorders: the report states autism impacts 1 in 31 children by age 8, and over 10% of children have been diagnosed with ADHD. Mental health: this is a big one. Teenage depression rates nearly doubled from 2009 to 2019. In 2022, more than 1 in 4 teenage girls reported a major depressive episode in the past year. Allergies: over 1 in 4 American children suffer from allergies, including food allergies, which rose 88% between 1997 and 2018. Meet Liam. He's 10, loves Fortnite, and already struggles with weight gain and focus issues. His breakfast? Ultra-processed cereal. His lunch? A school meal loaded with additives. After school, he's on screens for hours, stressed and sleepless. When he can't concentrate, a doctor prescribes meds. Liam's story isn't unique. It's the reality for millions of kids caught in a system that's failing them. So, the multi-billion-dollar question is, why is this happening? The MAHA report zeroes in on 4 potential major drivers. Let's unpack them. Driver number 1, poor diet, the ultra-processed food, UPF, invasion, the silent saboteur. First up, our diets. Nearly 70% of kids' calories come from ultra-processed foods. Think sugary drinks, packaged snacks, and fast food. These aren't just empty calories. They're engineered to override your "I'm full" signals, packing in additives linked to obesity and even behavioral issues like hyperactivity. The report shows that 90% of grocery products are ultra-processed, compared to countries like France, where it's under 30% and obesity rates are half ours. Why is this a concern? The report points to several reasons. Nutrient depletion: ultra-processed foods often displace nutrient-dense whole foods. Increased caloric intake: one fascinating NIH study confined adults to either ultra-processed or unprocessed foods for 2 weeks. On the ultra-processed diet, they ate about 500 more calories per day and gained weight, while on the unprocessed diet, they ate less and lost weight, even though they could eat as much as they wanted of either. The report suggests that ultra-processed foods might interfere with our hunger and fullness signals. Food additives: the report raises questions about food additives like certain food colorings, Red 40 is mentioned in connection with behavioral issues and titanium dioxide potentially causing cellular damage. It also highlights that these are often consumed in complex combinations. The report also links this to a consolidation in the food system where a few large corporations have a massive influence. Driver number 2, environmental chemicals, the invisible overload and threats. Kids are exposed to over 40,000 synthetic substances through food, water, and air, some even in breast milk. The MAHA report highlights that children's developing bodies can't detox these as well as adults, risking long-term damage to brains and immune systems. Pesticides, microplastics, flame retardants, they're everywhere, and we don't fully grasp their combined impact. The report acknowledges that chemicals are vital for economic growth and innovation. However, it raises concerns about the cumulative load of thousands of synthetic chemicals our children are exposed to from food, water, and air. Children are uniquely vulnerable because of their sensitive developmental windows and developing detoxification systems. The report stresses that current systems largely evaluate chemicals individually, potentially missing synergistic effects from complex mixtures. Examples of chemical classes discussed include PFAS, those forever chemicals in nonstick cookware and food packaging. Microplastics, tiny plastic fragments found almost everywhere. Phthalates, used to make plastics flexible, found in many consumer goods. The report also points to corporate influence in chemical research and regulation, suggesting potential biases. 3. Driver number 3, the digital age. Less movement, more strain, yes. Digital stress and inactivity, a modern trap. No surprise here, technology is a focus. The report describes a shift from an active, play-based childhood to a sedentary, tech-driven one. Physical activity plummets. Over 70% of kids and 85% of teens don't meet the recommended 60 minutes of daily moderate to vigorous physical activity. Screen time soars. Teens average 9 hours of non-school screen time daily, while over 70% of kids don't get enough exercise. Add chronic stress and sleep loss, and you've got a recipe for mental health crises. The report notes suicidal ideation in teen girls is up 60% since 2010. Screens aren't just a distraction, they're rewiring our kids' health. Sleep suffers. Nearly 80% of U.S. high school students don't get at least 8 hours of sleep, a figure that's worsened over the last decade. The report even discusses how evening screen time can delay melatonin production. This is all linked to rising mental health issues and loneliness. 4. Driver number 4, over-medicalization. Are we using too much medicine? Pills over prevention. ADHD drug prescriptions? Up 250% since 2006. Antidepressants for teens? A staggering 1,400% increase since 1987. The MAHA report warns many of these lack long-term evidence of benefits and carry risks, often masking deeper issues like diet or stress. Are we medicating symptoms instead of fixing root causes? This is a controversial but important part of the assessment. The report suggests a concerning trend of over-prescribing medications to children. Look at these increases. Stimulant prescriptions for ADHD in the U.S. doubled between 2006 and 2016. Antidepressant prescriptions saw a staggering 1,400% increase between 1987 and 2014. Antipsychotic use in kids rose 800% between 1993 and 2009, often for conditions not FDA approved for children. The report raises concerns about interventions that may lack proven long-term benefits or could even cause harm, citing examples like certain surgeries and the widespread use of some psychiatric drugs where long-term effects in children aren't fully understood. It also touches on the growth of the childhood vaccine schedule, noting the number of recommended injections has increased significantly since 1986. The report states that parents have concerns and calls for more rigorous scientific inquiry into potential links with chronic disease, the impacts of vaccine injury, and conflicts of interest in schedule development, emphasizing the need for studies comparing the U.S. schedule with those of other nations. It specifically mentions that studies designed to examine the long-term effects of the cumulative number of vaccines or other aspects of the immunization schedule have not been conducted. A recurring theme throughout the MAHA report is corporate capture. It suggests that industry interests in food, chemicals, and pharmaceuticals may heavily influence research, regulatory agencies, and even medical guidelines. Examples cited include the food industry funding the bulk of nutrition research, potentially biasing conclusions. The pharmaceutical industry's massive spending on lobbying, more than any other industry between 1999 to 2018. The revolving door phenomenon, where FDA commissioners and medical reviewers later work for the pharmaceutical industry. The report argues this can distort scientific literature and clinical practices, prioritizing profit over public health. Now the big question, why us and not others? Other countries aren't seeing this crisis at the same scale. Japan's school lunches are made fresh daily with local ingredients, no vending machines allowed. Brazil's guidelines flat out tell people to avoid ultra-processed foods. Their kits? Lower obesity and fewer chronic issues. So why are we stuck in the cycle? The MAHA report points to corporate influence, big food and pharma shaping research and policy. Over 95% of the 2020 Dietary Guidelines Committee had industry ties. That's a red flag. Let's turn this around with hacks backed by the MAHA report's insights. Swap smart. Replace one processed snack a day with a whole food. Grab an apple over chips. Small shifts cut calorie overload big time. Detox your space. Use natural cleaners and check labels for harmful additives. Less chemical exposure starts at home. Screen limits. Set a family just 20 minutes of play or a watt boosts mood and sleep. Ask questions. Before accepting a prescription for your kid, ask about non-drug options like therapy or lifestyle changes. Push for change. Email your school or local leaders to prioritize unprocessed meals. Community action works. The MAHA report doesn't just point fingers. It calls for a path forward, primarily through gold standard scientific research. It recommends several initiatives, including addressing the replication crisis in science, investing to improve trust and reliability in research, AI-powered surveillance, using AI to analyze health data for early detection of harmful exposures and disease trends, nutrition trials, funding long-term studies comparing whole food diets against UPF-heavy diets in children, drug safety research, supporting studies on long-term outcomes of commonly prescribed pediatric drugs. The goal is to build a clearer, evidence-based foundation for future policies. Why this matters to everyone? Why should you, a Lifehacks Lab viewer, care? Because awareness is the ultimate life hack. Understanding these potential drivers, from the food on our tables to the chemicals in our environment, the tech in our hands, and the medications we're prescribed, empowers us. It allows us to ask better questions, make more informed choices for our families, and demand transparency and rigorous science. This report, despite its origin, touches on everyday aspects of our lives. It's a conversation starter about how we can, collectively and individually, work towards a healthier future for our kids. This isn't just about kids, it's about our future. The MAHA report warns that 75% of young Americans are unfit for military service due to health issues. That's a national security risk. But here's the hope. We can reverse this. The report is a roadmap, not a dead end. Together, we can demand better food systems, cleaner environments, and smarter health policies. If this fired you up, hit that like button, subscribe to Lifehacks Lab, and share this video with every parent, teacher, or friend who needs to hear it. Comment below, what's one hack you're starting today? Dive deeper with the full MAHA report link in the description. Let's make our kids healthy again, one step at a time. Now I want to hear from you. What's the most surprising or concerning part of this MAHA report to you? Do any of these potential drivers resonate with your own experiences or observations? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a respectful discussion. If you found this breakdown of the MAHA report insightful and want to stay informed on big topics that impact your life, do us a solid. Hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with anyone you think needs to see it, friends, family, fellow parents. And most importantly, subscribe to Life Hacks Lab and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our future deep dives. What other major reports, studies, or complex topics should we tackle next on Life Hacks Lab? Let me know. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive. It's a lot to take in, but knowledge is power. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep hacking your life for the better.